indoor people. You want people for salvation. Nobody else, man. Straight up. Good afternoon. Welcome to another live field with Shaman's YouTube channel. Let's get into a topic about the 1981 Boston Celtics. It's the 45th anniversary of that team winning the first championship in like 5 years during that time, Larry Bird era. You know, that was a very important time if you were a Celtic fan because the Celtics was dealing with some tough times. And once they got Larry Bird, like I said, the rest is history. You know, once he got there, he became a great player. It was a great turnaround, and they won the championship. They were led by head coach Bill Fitch. They were 62-20. Dave Cowens retired late in training camp, but they still won the championship over the Rockets, Houston Rockets. They won, 4-2. And Cedric Maxwell was the MVP. Yes, Bird made a difference in turning that team around, but the guy that really made a difference in that finals was Cedric Maxwell. There's a reason why he won that MVP, not because he was just on the court. You know, he did something. Because yes, he was like the Great White Hope. What's to say, as you see in the thumbnail, Larry Bird was like the Great White Hope. You know, coming out of Indiana State, be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, the two cheerleaders. Many people probably thought he was black because blacks were dominating the college basketball landscape. And for him to come on the scene and be that great player that he was, Larry Bird, it shocked people that he was a white guy. And he was the Great White Hope. Simple as that. And Larry Bird was a guy that definitely changed the game from a rating standpoint. People watched whenever the Celtics was on. Obviously, when that Indiana State, Michigan State game was on, that had a high rating. So once he came into the NBA, he was looked at as the Great White Hope. Way to say it, because of who he was. He's a white guy that could play. He's a white guy that could play the game. He did play the game at the highest level. He won the all-time greats. He definitely was a game changer. But the bottom line is that skin that was white, that led him to get more publicity, because the game was dominated by blacks in the NBA and had its issues. So for Bird to come into the league, improve the team by a 32-win improvement, go to the conference finals, I believe in 1980, they had lost to the Sixers. Then in 81, win the championship in 81. I'm saying it gets no better than that. 81, that changed everything. He's a champion. He's an NBA champion. So he lost the East Conference Finals in 80, but 81, things changed for the better because they selected forward Kevin McHale and they acquired Robert Parrish. And they will become maybe the greatest front court ever to play the game. I think they are the greatest front court ever. Because you got Robert Parrish with that high arcing shot. He could run the floor. You know, he could do his thing. You know, he could do it all, Robert Parrish. He's just underrated. And then when you look at McHale, he had so many assortment of moves down low on the block. And he was just a machine, an arsenal of weaponry when it comes to great moves in the paint. Then you got Bird. He could pass. You know, play the game like a chess game, a thought ahead. He knew how to play the game of basketball. He could shoot, make his free throws, make plays when it was needed, could dominate the game without scoring. You know what I'm saying? He could do a lot of great things on the court. So you got that trio. How you gonna beat this team? So they win the championship in 81, but they had to beat the 76ers. They overcame a 3-1 deficit, won that championship. And Bird won his first championship. He averaged 21.9 points a game, 14 rebounds a game, 6.1 assists, 2.3 steals per game during the postseason. And during the finals, he averaged 15.3 points a game, 15.3 rebounds a game, and 7 assists per game. So he gave, obviously, Cedric Maxwell, we're going to go over that. Look at the stats, how he did that year. Because it's about the 1981 Boston Celtics season. 45th anniversary of that championship that they won over the Houston Rockets, who had Moses Malone on that team. See, let's go to the 1981 finals. I want to get to that. See how that went. Let's go. All right. 1981. I had some Hall of Famers in this NBA Finals. You had, Nate Archibald was on this team, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish. Then you had Calvin Murphy, Moses Malone, Rutan Yanovich as a coach. As a coach, he wasn't coaching that team, but he was a player, obviously. So you had 7 Hall of Famers on that court. So that's the thing about it. The thing about that team that Boston beat, Houston Rockets, they were 40-42. Thanks for the 7 people tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Thanks for the 15 people tuning in. Doing on the 1981 Boston Celtics. Houston Rockets, they were 2 games under 500. They were 40-42. But Celtics beat them 4 games to 2. It's like Maxwell won the MVP of the finals. The thing that is interesting too about the Rockets is that prior to the season, the NBA moved the Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs from the Central Division of the Eastern Conference to the Midwest Division of the Western Conference. People probably don't know that, realize, hypothetically speaking, that the Houston Rockets wasn't always in the Eastern Conference. Always in the Western Conference, excuse me. They was in the Eastern Conference. They were moved to the Western Conference in the 1980-81 season, prior to the season. They were in a new conference. So that's something that had to adjust to. Yes, they been in the West for a long time, but it wasn't always like that. The Spurs used to be in the Eastern Conference. They wasn't always in the West. Now they moved to the West. And then also you got to take into account that the Rockets and the Spurs trade places with the Chicago Bulls and Milwaukee Bucks. The Chicago Bulls went from the Western Conference to the Eastern Conference. The Milwaukee Bucks went from the West to the East. Dallas Mavericks, expansion team, they was able to be in the West. But the thing about it, man, is imagine the Chicago Bulls remain in the Western Conference. Michael Jordan, would he have 6 championships? Probably not. So that kid came in the nick of time for him to go and play in a different conference instead of dealing with Magic Johnson all the time and those Laker teams, whomever was in the West. So this 1981 NBA Finals had Calvin Murphy on it, Moses Malone, obviously he was a great player, Rutan Yanovich, Robert Reed, Mike Dunleavy Sr., Alan Lavelle, Billy Paultz, Bill Willoughby, Calvin Garrett, Tom Henderson, and Major Jones. They upset the defending champions during their run. Magic Johnson, the Lakers, that team, they beat them 2 games to 1. In the semifinals, the Rockets went up against the Spurs and George Gervin in the Texas shootout. And Calvin Murphy scored 42 points in Game 7 at San Antonio. So he went to the Eastern Conference Finals, the Western Conference Finals, against the Kansas City Kings, led by Otis Birdsong, Scott Webman, and Phil Ford. The Rockets won in 5 games. For the Celtics run, they had a first round bye at that time. So they was just getting ready for the conference semifinals. So it was different back then. You had a bye. So they swept Arthur Gilmore led Chicago Bulls, and they played the 76ers in the final for the right to go to the finals and won that series in 7 games. They overcame a 3-1 deficit. They won 91-90. That was maybe the greatest conference finals ever played, because 5 of the games in the series ended with a winning team on top by 2 points or less. So that was just a great series. So Celtics won on May 5th. And back then, in this NBA Finals in 1981, all the games were played in the month of May. At that time, it wasn't no June NBA Finals. It lasted from May 5th to May 14th. So it's very different back then, the NBA Finals. Boston won 98-95. Rockets won 92-90. And then Boston won 94-71. Then the Houston Rockets won 91-86. So I had 2-2 apiece. Then the Celtics won the next two games, 109-80. And they won the championship 102-91. Most of these games was low scoring. Most of these games was not scored in the hundreds. Like the first four games of the series was not scored in the hundreds, except for Game 5 and Game 2. Another thing about that series, about the 1981 Boston Celtics NBA Finals, that in that Game 1, the Celtics was trailing this game at times. They were down 57-51, but with the Celtics trailing 87-84, Bird put up an 18-footer from the right side. As soon as he turned it loose, he immediately rushed in for the rebound. He caught the ball in mid-air as the momentum was carrying him out of bounds on the baseline just right of the lane, and instantly switched the ball to his left hand. A right-handed shot would have hit the side of the backboard and flicked it into the basket. This is classic Larry Bird. 18 points, 21 rebounds, 9 assists, as he won 98-95. The crowd went nuts over that shot that Bird did. Bill Russell was broadcasting the game for CBS, looking on disbelief, and Russell said Larry was able to make the play because he not only knew where the ball was going to land, he knew that he knew. And Aaron Brack said it was one of the best shots I've ever seen a player make. So Game 2, Rockets win 92-90 behind Moses Malone scoring 31 points, grabbing 15 rebounds. Bill will be scoring 14 points. Then Game 3, Boston beat Houston 94-71. Cedric Maxwell had 19 points in this game. That's the reason why he won MVP. Then Game 4, Rockets won 91-86. Cedric Maxwell had 24 points, 14 rebounds. Mike Dunleavy had 28 points. Most of them had 22 points. 24 points and 22 rebounds. They tied the series up. Then Game 5 in Boston Garden, Malone was talking trash. He was saying that Boston ain't that good. He said I could get 4 guys on the street in Pittsburgh and beat them. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Boston won 109-80. Cedric Maxwell had a big game, another big game, 28 points for Cedric Maxwell, 15 rebounds. Yep, showing why he was the MVP. Because Bird was struggling offensively. Then Game 6, Bird had it on his business, 27 points, 13 rebounds. They won 102-91 in Houston. But the MVP went to Cedric Maxwell. Yeah, he averaged 17.7 points a game, 9.5 rebounds a game. Yeah, he was the reason. I mean, Larry Bird only averaged 15.3 points a game, 15.3 rebounds a game, 7 assists. Again, they had a great team. He had to score, average 30 points a game. He had so much talent around him. Cedric Maxwell, you had McHale, Parrish. I mean, you got a squad. Now, McHale wasn't that great in this series. Kevin McHale wasn't Kevin McHale yet. He only averaged 4.7 points a game. So he wasn't Kevin McHale yet until later in the decade. Moving forward into the early mid part of the decade, he's going to be that guy that people had to deal with. So, also in 1981 NBA Finals, they received the lowest television ratings in history up to that point with 6.7 rating. And the reason why, because 1981 Finals were the last to be broadcast on tape delay. So, also Game 3 and 4 were played back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday, May 9th and 10th, to give CBS 2 live final games. Is the last time finals games were played on consecutive days. Game 3 was the last finals contest played on a Saturday until Game 5, 2021. Game 4 tipped off at noon Central in order for CBS to telecast golf following the game. Had Game 7 had played, it would have tipped off at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gary Bender did the game. Rick Barry did the game. Also, his contract following his racial comments about Bill Russell during the finals was not renewed. So Russell will remain the main colored analyst for the next 2 years with Dick Stockton. Barry and Russell will reunite for 2 seasons in the 1984-85 season. And Russell will be replaced by Tommy Heinsohn. So that's it, man. That's to look at the 1981 Boston Celtics. This is a team that will going to win 3 NBA championships. Had a dynastic run. Being a team that was in the finals a lot throughout that decade. They would have a decline after the 88 season. Again, Lynn Bias, passing away, he would have definitely prolonged their dynastic run. But those were the best of times for the Boston Celtics in the 80s, early 80s. It was just the beginning for Bird and Mikael Parrish and Maxwell and those guys. And later on, be Danny Ainge and Dennis Johnson, Bill Walton, people like that. They'll be tough to deal with. So tune in at 2 o'clock. I'll be on at 2 o'clock for the interview that I did with Darian Hagan a few years back, Colorado football quarterback, Colorado Buffaloes, because before there was a Zador Sanders, there was a Darian Hagan. So be on the lookout for that. I'll do my next live feed. Subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I'll be back at 2 o'clock. Till then, talk to you soon. Again, what I'm not going to say, I'm going to be doing an interview that I replayed that I did a few years back. So I'm not going to be talking live. It's going to be me asking questions to Darian Hagan, the quarterback. And hopefully you enjoyed the interview that I did a few years back when I was a radio host on Job Scope Radio for the Rashad Mitchell Show. Till then, get ready for 2 o'clock.